Do you have enough light in your life? Are you soaring in the joy around you? Are you stuck and unable to make life happen? Stay tuned for the Rabbi Jenny Show, where you will learn how to bask in the light and find more joy and meaning in life. Call to talk to Rabbi Jenny at 888-565-1470 and email questions and comments at rabbijenny.com. And now, if you're ready, stay tuned for the Rabbi who will light your world on fire, Rabbi Jenny.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Rabbi Jenny. I am so excited to be here. I got to tell you, the topic for tonight is really awesome, and it's coming down in a really specific way that I hadn't ever thought about it, and that topic is perseverance. But before we begin the show, I'm actually going to take my glasses off. Woo! And you're not watching me, you're listening to me in your car, so I don't know why I told you that. I got to tell you a couple things. I got to tell you about RabbiJenny.tv. I got to tell you about Rabbi Jenny on Twitter and on the Instagram and on the Facebook. Please go to the Rabbi Jenny Skylark page on Facebook and like it, and you can see what I'm up to, what classes, you can see about the new books and things like that. And before we begin, I got to remind you of the two main ideas. You know, they're my two things that I hope you take with you every single show. And the first thing is the world is happening for you and not to you. And that is an absolute, my friends. That does not change no matter what's going on. The world is happening for you and not to you. And the second main idea is that you are divine love, light, energy, always expanding. And that is why it's always happening for you. So if it feels like it's contracting you, it's just freaking you out, so you expand and get bigger and brighter. So our topic for tonight is perseverance. And I actually thought of this topic last week, of course, after the last show. And I'm always inspired about what's going on in the Torah. And what's going on this week in the Torah is we are on the verge of entering the last book. We're at the verge of Deuteronomy. We're at the verge of the promised land. We're almost there, guys. We got one more book, and then it's the whole New Year's, Rosh Hashanah. The whole thing's going on soon. But we're near the end, and it made me think about how much the Israelites went through to get to that point. And what does it take to keep going? Like, what does it take to keep going in your life? And I began to think about this idea of perseverance. What does perseverance mean? What does it mean to persevere? Why do some people give up? Why do some people continue? I don't know. I mean, I've had things go on in my life where I was so sure. And then one day I woke up and said, I don't think so. And then there was other times where I kept going and was able to achieve my goal. So I started to think about this idea. What can I give you, listeners? How can I love you this week enough to help you persevere in something that you're trying to achieve? And I have to tell you, it came down so specifically that it's not necessarily what you're trying to achieve. It's the motivation of why you want to achieve it. So if there's something in your life that you're trying to reach and you know it's where you need to go, the issue might not be that it's not the right thing to do. It's that you need to find a motivation. You need to find the higher reason so it can keep you moving when things seem dark and when things seem like they're not going your way. You know in your heart that it came down as a higher reason why you're motivated for this. And where I found this thought, you know, you guys know I just got back from Alaska like a month ago. Not just, but I wish I was still there so I can live there in my head. And I read this story on the internet, and it's called Dig a Little Deeper, and it's about the gold rush, and it's about perseverance. And it says, there's a story about the gold rush that tells of two brothers who sold all they had and went to California prospecting for gold. They discovered a vein of the shining ore, staked a claim, and proceeded to get down to the serious business of getting the gold out of the mine. All went well, my friends, but then a strange thing happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. What they saw in the land disappeared. They had come to the end of their rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. The brothers continued to pick away, but without success. Finally, they gave up in disgust. They sold their equipment and claim rights for a few $100 and took a train back home. Now, the man who bought the claim hired an engineer to examine the rock. To examine it. You listening to me? Because this is a key for perseverance. Examined the strata of the mine. The engineer advised him to continue digging, to keep going, where the former owners had left off. And 3 feet deeper, the owner struck gold. So the idea here is why do some people give up? And what I took from this story is the motivation they had for doing it wasn't necessarily strong enough. They didn't surround themselves with the support to nurture this vision that they had, this desire that they had, this motivation that they had. What makes someone like Abraham hear a voice in his dad's house and just go until he becomes the father of all nations? Like, what makes Moses go back and free an entire people when everything else seems in his opposition? Like, it seems like it's against him. What separates those type of people from people who actually strike gold? And I think it's this idea of examining and nurturing and giving yourself the time to understand why and how you're going to get things done. In my own life, when I just kind of wing it, things aren't necessarily as smooth as if I sit down and I think, well, why am I doing this? Why? And I got to tell you, this show is a really good example, because sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I think, oh my God, is it going to continue? But then when I remember it is my bliss. It is my bliss every week to come sit here and tell you how much I love you and how much you can achieve on this planet if you continue to persevere and believe in yourself. So let's continue on this subject. I looked up perseverance, because you know I'm very thorough, and I looked up perseverance in the dictionary, and I might be feeling an accent coming on because I'm feeling a little crazy, I think, in the studio right now. And I looked up perseverance, and perseverance is a continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. And that is real, my friends, perseverance. Why? I found a Japanese proverb that says, fall 7 times, but stand up 8. And I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, how many times in our life do we close door, close door, close door, close door, and we find out if we would have just knocked on that last one, it would have opened. That's kind of like a bummer. So how do we continue to go? What's the message of this show? The message of this show is I want you to find a higher reason. What is this higher reason? Why are you doing this? If you're starting a business, whatever it is out there, whatever that business is, why are you doing it? It doesn't matter to me why you're doing it. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care. But find the reason. Honor the reason in your heart, in your soul. When they talk in scripture about hearing a voice from God to do something, I believe that's the quiet voice that we all hear in our soul. But we have to slow down and nurture it and listen to it. So did you start that business for your family? That's a higher reason. Remind yourself of that every time things get slightly discouraging. Did you start that business because you believed in what you were doing? Because you believed in what it was going to do on the planet? You have to remind yourself. And sometimes, although it stinks, you might have to find a way to make some extra money while you're honoring this higher reason to do what you're doing. And it doesn't mean you failed, and it doesn't mean you're not going forward. All it means is that you're sticking to your higher reason for doing things. You know, sometimes things are going on that we can't see. Sometimes you have planted so many seeds in your life and you are not willing to give them the time to germinate, to bust open, to spread roots. And it's all about nurturing. You know, when we think of gardening, this is such a great, metaphor for this, because, you got to water the seed. You got to water it. You got to wait for the sunshine. You got to water it. You got to wait for the sunshine. You got to water it. You got to wait for the sunshine. And then, oh my God, you see it. Everybody remembers that in like 2nd grade where you planted those beans, and you waited and waited and waited and waited. And then you came in that day and it was like a little teeny sprout in your little cups. Or if you did it in an egg carton, if you were my age and you did it like a while ago, and you had a little egg carton and you planted all your little seeds, and that's what life's really about, that it's coming, it's happening, that voice, that vision, it's real, my friends. It's real. We get so caught in time. What would have happened, honestly? What would have happened if the patriarchs in scripture worried about time? What would have happened if, like Abraham said, you know what, I'm just going to stop going. I know I'm 95, but, I'm done now. What would have happened if Moses would have said, oh, we have to go 40 more years? Are you kidding? I don't have 40 more years. That's crazy. It never occurred to him. Actually, it was mostly about petitioning for the anger in his people. He never said, are you kidding? 40 more years? Never questioned it. He never asked. Because the truth is that you don't even know what's going to happen in those 40 more years. You don't know how many people you're going to meet. One of the things that I'm experiencing in my career right now is I've been in a field for a certain amount of time, and I might have thought I was going to be somewhere in the past. I might have had that incessant voice that drives us sometimes, that head voice, not that heart, quiet voice that I'm talking about. The head voice that says, why aren't you here? Why aren't you here? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Well, that voice. But the thing is I didn't meet enough people. I didn't do enough things. I didn't learn enough. I didn't grow enough. I didn't have the strength in my mind, body, and soul to do enough in order to persevere in those ways, in order for those doors open. And now some of them are opening with ease. Let me read you another quote. This is by one of my favorites, Maya Angelou. She says, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it." You know, it's not the easy things that we gain our own self-respect. Self-respect is not something you are born with. Everyone's like, well, I don't have self-esteem. I don't feel good about myself. Well, guess what? That's something you earn. You earn it in your heart. You earn it in your soul by the things you walk through. You know, when you walk through fire, you look back and go, holy crap, I just walked through fire. That is insane. Look at me. And then you can walk through a bigger fire, and pretty soon, like the pottery in the kiln, you're shiny and colorful and ready to go. I mean, crazy, crazy. I got one more quote by Einstein, and this is great because if you know anything about Albert Einstein, he spent a lot of his life just sitting on a couch waiting for lightning to strike his brain. Like he really knew, he had a vision of truths that he saw, and he just didn't know how he was going to get from A to Z. And that's what vision is like. You're showing me this thing, you're telling me this thing I'm supposed to do, and how am I going to do it? So he says, it's not that I'm so smart, it's just I'm willing to stay with problems longer. I'm just willing to stay with problems longer. You know, and this is for you listeners. I really feel that this week is all about something that's going on in your life that you're just about ready to go. I'm done. I've had it. I'm done. And I got to tell you, the universe is churning. The energy is there. It is right around the corner. And it is up to you, like dig a little deeper, like the title of this story. It's up to you to dig a little deeper. It's up to you to go, wait a minute, okay, am I so ready to let this go? Why am I doing this? What is my higher reason? You know, people have passion. People have, they have vision. They have heart. They have caring. They have an incessant need to serve others. You know, how about to stake a claim on the planet? One of my favorite teachers, Caroline Mace, always says, what's wrong with wanting to stake a claim on the planet? What's wrong with wanting your place in the sun? That's your humanness. I always say, you got to shine. If God gave you something to do, please, please, please do it. We're all waiting for you to do what it is that you have come to do. And sometimes it seems like, maybe you won't get the money around the corner, but like I said, you have to be willing to dig into that higher reason. Why are you doing it? And not compromise it. And that requires you sometimes make some choices that are not, convenient. I adore you. It's Rabbi Jenny. We're going to be back with a fabulous guest. This is about perseverance. I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins. Spent hours in therapy, at the spa, and the gym, and still feel as if something is missing? At Walk Between the Worlds with shamanic practitioner Jennifer Sellers, you recapture lost pieces of yourself, place them within your heart, and move forward to fully actualize life. With individual sessions and group classes, with Walk Between the Worlds, you heal your mind, unite your soul, and empower your spirit. Contact walkbetweentheworlds.com today. Mention this ad on the Rabbi Jenny Show and receive 10% off your first session. Walk free and whole and true at walkbetweentheworlds.com.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey everyone, it's Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. Are you ready to change your world? It's such a funny intro. Anyways, I am really on fire for this topic, perseverance. I want to tell you a story before we introduce our guest. I watched a movie this week. I watch a lot of movies, and this movie was called Woman in Gold. If you have seen it, it's with Ryan Reynolds and Helen Mirren, and it's about a woman who survived the Nazi overtake of Austria. But she had in her family's ownership, it was all about the art thefts of the Jews in Austria. And the famous Woman in Gold painting belonged to her family. And it was all about how she and her attorney were suing the Austrian government for this painting and all the things that they had to go through. And it's the perfect story for perseverance and finding a higher reason and remembering why you're doing something. Because I got to tell you, this is a fantastic story for this, because first they went to Austria. First they tried being nice and they went to Austria. And then they came home and they gave up a little bit. And then something happened, and when they were in Austria, the young attorney, who had never really known much about his roots except that his family had come from there, was at the Holocaust memorial in Austria. And Austria kind of lived in a state of like denying its Nazi past. And he was overcome with an emotional experience about his family that was lost and about all of the things. And it was this emotional experience that I want to tap into for you guys, because this is what he held on to persevere. It was this knowing, this feeling that he had in that moment. And it was this feeling and knowing that he had in that moment that allowed him to go to a bookstore. And in the bookstore was a book published by the Austrian Museum, which had the painting in it. And it allowed them to sue the Austrian government in America, because you can sue in America if you do business here. And it was just this fascinating thing, because he remained true to his higher purpose. He gave up his job. He gave up all of his money. His wife was even pregnant. And he wasn't even there when the baby was born, because he had to go in front of the Supreme Court. You have got to see this movie. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but it is about this idea of perseverance, that we persevere when we tap into the higher reason why we are doing what we're doing. And we remain nurturing to that reason, which means surrounding yourself with people who will help you doing that. And this person coming on now, well, let's first we're going to have our Tom, Dick, or Harry.
You're telling me Rabbi Jenny will talk to any Tom or Dick or Harry? Any Tom, any Dick, any Harry,
Yeehaw! We are here today with one of my favorite nurturing souls, who's nurtured me on my spiritual journey. He's actually taken me all over the globe. We've traveled all over. We are here with energy healer, shamanic practitioner, indigenous teacher, and studier, and tour guide. I mean, everything. Carrie Stokes. Hey, Carrie, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jen. Great to see you. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I am so glad you're here. I gave him the topic before, so we're talking about perseverance. What's on your mind?
Well, a great topic. When you brought that, when you called me and mentioned it, I, of course, always love connecting with you, and then to come here on the show, and then to hear about you told me the topic, and I sat with it a little bit later, and I went, wow, what a great topic. And it actually encouraged me to kind of reflect in my own life and what I persevered through, and also my son, my family, and other cultures and other people, like the native peoples or the Jewish peoples. These ones, gone through a lot, and people are still. And it was such a broad range, from something real drastic to, maybe like a war situation,
Right.
to the everyday mother who's persevering, holding down two jobs, or maybe, and having, deal with her children and things like that. So great topic, and very, very powerful.
So before we get into perseverance, tell us what you do. Tell us who you are. What do you do? I mean, I know what you do, but they don't. Remember, they don't know.
Oh, hey, they don't know. Hello, everybody. So, so my name's Kerry Stokes, and I've just been interested for a long time in working with indigenous peoples. It's just something and always been of interest of mine, and that took me on my journey of going on my own personal healing journey, and through that, working with these medicine peoples, these indigenous peoples, to still kind of hold on to the old ways of the earth and being in balance and harmony. And that's what I wanted in my life. And so then I was able to achieve that in a greater way. And then Spirit called me to start to work with people, to teach people. One of the journeys I went to was in Peru close to a decade ago. And at the end of that journey, I actually took my son there just to, every summer we do a father-son thing. He was turning that rites of passage at age 12, turning 13. And I took him, I saw this brochure came to my house, and on the day of his birthday, they were going to be in Machu Picchu. And so my wife said, why don't you go there? He's going to be on his birthday, Machu Picchu. I said, yeah, that's a good sign. Let's do that. And I was working with these medicine people, the Caros, and the journey that you went on like that. And in that process, at the end of I've always been open to many, many things, from going to temple to going to a sweat lodge to going to wherever. I just always been interested in life and see other things. So I went through that whole journey, and it was some levels profound, some not so profound. But at the end, it was all enjoyable at the end. And the last day, one of the medicine people said, oh, I see you. I was saying goodbye. And they said, oh, I see you're going back in the West, and you're going to be teaching this, and you're going to be sharing this with people. And my head's kind of nodding yes, and my mind's going like, what are they talking about? And lo and behold, over a course of action, as Spirit guided it, took me down that path further, and then like that. So then I'm helping people to kind of, basically what I do is, I like to believe I do is hold that container, so a sacred, safe container for people to have their own unique, direct revelation of their experience, to grow and to heal and to become stronger, better individuals, which to me then goes into their family, into community, and out into the world. That's my real passion.
And when I met you, I remember, because Carrie's one of my teachers, and I remember I was in my office and registered for one of his classes, and I thought, what in the heck am I doing? Registering to go to Peru? Like, this is crazy. Actually, it was the Mune Key. It was the rites, it was the 9 rites. I don't even know. It was the strangest thing. And then you walked in, and we did that whole thing. It was like, Jenny, you're going to Peru. And the money just appeared, and there we were. And it was like the time of my life, although I've beat Carrie to the top of every mountain and every...
That's
right?
true.
It's true. I run my way up.
Speaking of perseverance.
But I wanted to ask you about your own life, and if you could tell the listeners about a time in your life where you questioned and you really had to dig to keep going for some vision that you've had or something you knew you had to do.
Well, it's interesting you say that. One of the things I can speak on is, I know in looking back in my life, anytime I did something just for money, or I thought, well, I'm going to do this, it's going to make money, that it never really worked, because I didn't persevere, because I didn't have the passion and the love for it. So when things started to get rough, I just said, I gave up. And that's what they say a lot, is persevering obviously is not giving up. And I find doing the work I'm doing now, I don't even look at the financials. It's just about... there's financial reward in putting the service I put in, but it's about putting in the service, and all that's kind of secondary. Does that make sense? So the passion, whether things are going good or it's high or low, I'm always moving forward because it's a passion.
So tell me something that you do to nurture that. Like, these are our listeners, and they they may be thinking, what can I do? Like, I know you go to the beach almost every day. I know that you tap into source, but is there something that the listeners could do to tap into their passion of why they're doing what they're doing? Is it journaling or, anything you can suggest to them?
It's, when you were speaking earlier, and I love you're so beautiful in your talk and your enthusiasm, and it's great for your listeners, and what a gift you're giving them, so
Thank you.
for them to hear you, whether driving or at home or wherever they are. And when you were speaking, I realized that, what is in perseverance in the end? What does that, what gets you through? So to me, as I kind of reflected on that, it's either love, right, for your children. So when I went through a split up years ago, that was my perseverance, because I was not going to not be in my son's life. So I look back, in that period of my time was really challenging. It was also a very time I grew a lot, because I had to look in also what's happening in my life. And so I persevered through that, through love and passion, which you mentioned earlier, but also faith. So whatever your faith is, whatever you're walking, whether it's, and to me, I'm very non-denominational. To me, I just believe in, love, and that all source of love and forgiveness is the source of all things, whatever walk of life we're in. And so it's that, I would say, that place of being in faith. So what that is for whatever the listeners are, what is that for you, whoever's listening in? What's your faith? What is keeping you going? What's keeping you moving forward?
And maybe, like, one of the things that we do together sometimes is the storytelling and the story writing, and maybe writing a time where you had faith, recalling those emotions, those feelings. We also talk about joy. Like, I haven't even got to that. That'll be next 15 minutes. But how do you name a time where you had that faith, where you were able to and tap into that energy? Because sometimes it's dark. Like, sometimes it feels like nothing's happening.
Right.
And sometimes when it feels like nothing's happening, like the seed's like right there, it's like gonna burst that next day.
Yeah, well, I believe Creator put seeds of greatness in all of us,
right?
And it's just a matter of us, going through the muck to bring them forward, right? So, you mentioned, I think, tapped on a little bit earlier about. I always like that vision too of the garden, So a lot of times when you're garden, you got to put manure out in your garden, right, or something like that, and that seed that has to push up through the manure to grow into a beautiful plant or a flower. And that's kind of like a metaphor for life. Sometimes we got to go through that manure to get through that, to blossom and to be, beautiful. And the other thing came up the other day. My son's been a great, great teacher for me. He's 23 now. And
oh my God.
he's a beautiful young man. And I learned so many things from him. We were talking the other day. He's launching a project now that he's working on, and we started talking. He's looking at all the things he needs to do, and he said, Dad, sometimes it gets overwhelming. I said, Dylan, let me share something that I learned from you back when you were 8 years old.
Wow.
I said, I remember I went over to you and I looked at your report card, and he was always in the accelerated classes, very smart kid, and I saw A, B, and then I saw 1 C. And so as a good, loving father, I thought I was encouraging him, like, well, Dylan, come on, what's going on? What can we do here to bring this up? And he looked at me and he said, Dad, how come everybody talks about the things that I didn't do well, and nobody mentions everything that I did do well?
Wow.
And that hit me like a hammer. And I said, wow, so I told him of recent, I said, Dylan, put down all the things you've done already. Look at all the great things. You're only 23, but look at all the great things. Instead of thinking of things you're looking for and where you're trying to get to, acknowledge yourself, honor yourself, so you can see everything you have done to this point.
And I think that is such a great way to nurture, to get to that place of higher, to remember who you are. You might be hitting a lot of walls. Remember the doors that open.
Right.
Recall the good things. It's like, our children are such great teachers. Sawyer, who you've met, you made drum with him. He was very intimidated by you and your ability to pull that drum perfect. But, he said that to me once when things didn't go my way. He's like, it's okay, Mommy. Towers fall so you can build new towers. He's like, and I was like, he's like, yeah, one falls down, you build it back up. But I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know that,
Amazing, right?
But I was thinking what you were talking about the messiness of the manure in the garden. And this is something you can count on, listeners. Like, there are things in nature you can actually count on. The sun sets, the sun rises. You can count on that. The tide goes in, it goes out. You can actually count on messiness before birth. It's actually like the one consistent pattern in nature. Our own birth, the birth of seeds, the birth of fruit. When you bake a cake, it's messy. It's always messy before birth,
Right,
It's never,
good
it's
analogy.
never, so we're going to be back. We got lots to talk about. This is Rabbi Jenny. Come on back.
This program is brought to you by the law firm of Altman, Flynn, and Kugler. We practice elder law and intellectual property, including patents, trademarks, and copyrights. If you would like to patent your idea, please contact our Fort Lauderdale office for a free consultation. Call 954-563-4814. That's 954-563-4814. Or visit us online at altmanpatent.com. That's OLTMANPATENT.com. Spokesperson, not an attorney.
Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
Hey, it's Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. It's Wednesday. We are here with Gary Stokes, one of my favorite people. See, it's doing it again. It's
There
like,
you go.
whoa,
Spirits
why is it
are
getting
here.
dark? Oh my gosh. So, Carrie, he's not, can you see him? We are silly. And I really wanted to talk now about joy and how, look at, and how joy, isn't that weird? And how joy actually is the quickest way. Like my teacher, the Rabbi, he used to just say that joy was the most important thing in the whole world, and that everything else is less than that. And most Hasidic, that their culture is really, if it's joy, if it brings you joy, if it lights up your heart, if it lights up your soul, then that's more important than the rules. So if you're doing something, if you're communing with people that you love, and it might not necessarily be like kosher or something like that, if it's bringing you joy, if it's raising the vibration, of the energy, of the sacred energy that on the planet, then that's good. So let's talk about joy, because joy is a big part of your teaching. Like having taken your classes,
we have a lot of fun. My wife and I, we play a lot of music. We have a lot of fun, and that one thing I'll say, the common thread, 'cause I work mostly with either Native First Peoples, typically the Lakota. There's some other people from other nations, and then the Keros from Peru. But the one thing I say, the common denominator, the thread I've seen. And I also, from what I've seen with the Dalai Lama or other people, silly, have fun. They have fun. They're when they step into a ceremony, very powerful, very connected. But man, they like to have fun and laugh and joke. And this is, I think, the joy. You're right. It's so important. It can get us through so much. One thing before we go further with that, I want to mention about when persevering is for something you asked about, something people can do. And one of the things I know working with the medicine people, they look at whether we're in balance or not. So anybody out there is listening, feel like you're too overwhelmed or something. If something in your life is out of balance, it could be, emotional, physical, financial, whatever it is. So you want to find that balance. And a great way to do that is going back to the earth. A lot of us are disconnected. We go from our house, especially right now in Florida, it's so hot. You're going from your house to your car, to the office, back home, and so get out to nature. Sit on the earth, sit on the Pachamama, give her your problems, give her that energy, give her that woe. She can mulch that. She has the power and wisdom to mulch that back to something good, and that'll actually lift you up, and that'll bring the joy. You don't have to carry that. It's not yours to carry.
I just had the coolest vision when you were talking. It was about sprinklers. And you and I both grew up, like, sprinklers. Like, it's hot out, people. Like, go get one of those sprinklers. Like, we have these underground sprinklers now. But do you remember those sprinklers? And they would wave like a rainbow, and you run through them for 1 minute of cool, That's your assignment, folks. You got to go out there and you got to get yourself a sprinkler. And you got to put it in your front yard like a mashugana, and you got to go out and run through it. You cannot take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, don't take yourself too seriously.
We always talk about that. When you take yourself too seriously, what happens to the energy? It stops it.
It does. It stops the flow.
It's heavy. It becomes heavy. And if you just do something silly, but when you were talking about the earth and the Pachamama, they might be like, well, how do I do that? Okay, this is what you do. You put on your nice little bathing suit with the skirt or whichever one you're comfortable with, or you could just wear a shirt and shorts and be really silly. And you go get a sprinkler and you run through it. That's how you do it. And you run through in bare feet.
Or you can make water balloons
Yes,
and
those
come
are
home
good.
and hit your significant other when they don't know about it. See
But
how
make
that
sure you
goes.
do it with your bare feet on the Pachamama so you can
Yeah.
feel the grass and the amazing things. I want to talk about also something that, we talk about all the time, that if you might be working towards a goal and there might be something going on in your life that you're persevering on, but there are also other things going on in the world which can help you during those times where it seems like the universe is inactive. And, nature is really huge. And talk about that, because I know you always tell stories about how you notice the birds. You notice.
Well, that's always been a big part of my way of being, is being that connection with nature. And I look for signs and omens in nature. So to me, that's always there's a class I teach on that, power animals and how they work with us and how they bring us messages and how they each have their own unique abilities. It's not one power animal. A small ant is not any less powerful than, say, an eagle in the fact of what it can teach us. It's not about the size and the speed. It's about what their every animal has its own unique gifts, and I believe every human being has their own unique gifts. So
And
all those listening know that you have your own unique gift to bring forward in the world, even if you might not have
Absolutely.
discovered it yet.
And the universe
It's
is
there.
always trying to cheer you on. So, like, if you're frustrated and a butterfly flies by, like, notice it. Like, say thank you. Take the... We actually have a caller. We have a caller, maybe with a question. I don't know. This is a whole new thing. Who's calling the Rabbi Jenny Show? Who's on the phone?
That's Miguel. How are you?
Hi, Miguel. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my son is 29.
Okay.
And he plays flute. And I wanted to talk about sons and daughters more often because I think that's what's wrong with our society.
Okay.
We don't really congratulate our... there's too much competition or capitalism, and I can't forgive myself. I was the same way. I was horrible.
So when Carrie was
listening-
talking... but when you were talking about your son.
Mm-hmm.
What's your
I
son's
know, I heard him
name?
talk about a son in a congratulatory way, and I had to pick up the phone and congratulate you for that. That's wonderful because, especially down here in our secular Miami or Pompano, I don't know, it's worse than it was ever about selfism. Do you think so, Bob?
Yeah, we think so. What's your son's name, Miguel?
Well, I was lucky. My wife named them Joshua, Peter, and Andre Timothy, and that's the name they use today.
Ah, I do. Well, we're really glad you called in to say something nice, and we send love to you and your sons. And we send out to our listener your message to focus more on your children. Thank you so much, Miguel.
Thanks for calling.
Well, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Miguel.
that's good.
So well, children are, we don't have time to looking back is too late. I just got back from Alaska. I didn't even realize that it was, my son's going to get bar mitzvah and it's his 12 to 13-year-old year, like when you went with your son to Peru.
Right.
And time goes so fast with
It
our
goes
children.
really fast.
And they know more than we think they know.
Yes, absolutely. And they're going through their own. One of the things I teach is a medicine wheel, and it's about your own personal journey going around the medicine wheel, which you've been involved in that class, or there's a series of classes. And it's also for children. We're doing one for kids because
cool.
kids, people think, well, they're just kids. Sometimes we discount them, but they have, could be bullying or could be somebody said something. So energetically, part of that healing through the indigenous ways is getting, working it from the energetic, then shifting at the level of the soul, and then the mind and body follow it. That's kind of a lot of the big premise, and also again living in that what the Caros call Aini, which means right relationship. We want to be in right relationship with everything: our families, the earth, our community. The guy who cuts us off in traffic.
Yeah.
We got to find what that's when our buttons get pushed. Is when those things happen that we have to kind of. And not to beat ourselves up so much.
So
love
important.
ourselves,
and that's part of the balance, and that's what I was just thinking about when you were talking was how I'm in my year of grief from my father, and I know you've been through grief with your family and your parents, and this idea that sometimes the balance or sometimes the perseverance is comes with the idea of being kind to yourself when you're in darker times. Like sometimes the perseverance manifests in self-love and self-consideration. That you are going through a dark time, you are going through that, but that doesn't mean to stop. It means actually to balance it out with giving yourself more light. There's something about that. So give us another story from you when you persevered, when you just about to give up. Give me one when you're just about.
When I was just about.
About.
Last night in yoga class. Last night in going through some of those asanas, those postures, it was persevering through, Sometimes I'll dedicate in my mind, I dedicate my practice at night to somebody or something, So I persevere, I push myself. Not to be, egotistical or macho or anything. I test the boundaries. And I know when not to go so far to injure myself, but they're challenging sometimes. So to meet those challenges and to go through it. So that's,
And prayer is really an important tool for perseverance. Like when things aren't going well for you, something that can help you persevere is praying for others.
Absolutely. I believe in prayer. I know some people don't. I'm a big proponent, a believer in prayer.
Too.
I pray all the time. I also believe, prayer is just getting up in the morning, putting your feet on the ground. That's just a walking prayer. It doesn't only have to be a conscious to me speaking, even though I do that a lot. But it's just living in a prayerful way. Living life in ceremony, living that way. Everything's ceremonial, everything's prayerful. It becomes a way of life.
Yes, and being aware of your words, being aware of how you treat people, and being aware of what's going on around you in a very moment to moment nature. I was also thinking about gratitude, because a big part of the indigenous studies that you teach is to be grateful to the earth, to be grateful for what we're given. And gratitude is an exceptional tool for perseverance.
Well, let me tell you, when you're up in the high Andes, some of those places, and I just did a trek last year up to Asangate Mountain, which is our sacred feminine mountain. We were up close to 16,000 feet. You're giving gratitude for that sleeping bag, for that blanket. And I'll tell you, a story happened one night is, real quickly, was I put a hot water bottle in the bottom of my sleeping bag. I got a 0-degree bag. It gets below. My water bottle is frozen rock solid, like coming out of your freezer. That's how cold it gets at night. Daytime get down to a t-shirt, but nighttime it drops and temperature drops quickly. But anyway, I put this, somebody taught me this trick years ago, that I put a hot water bottle heater in the bottom of my sleeping bag. So on the third night, the first 2 nights I was toasty, keeps you nice and warm. And the third night I'm in there and I put, they say, some people say sleep with less on, but I'm from Florida, so I sleep with wool socks and long johns and the whole bit. And even though I'm in a 0-degree bag, and lo and behold, I all of a sudden my feet, I said, God, they feel like they're sweating. That's weird. They feel wet. And how could that be? And I reached down, and the cap, it's so old, I've had it for so many years, it broke off. And the whole bottom of my bag, now it's pitch black. It's probably, 20 degrees or less. and there's nothing, and talking about persevere, I had to curl up in a fetal position. Nothing I could do, because I couldn't clean it, couldn't dry it out. Had to sleep through the night and persevere through that night. And here's where a gift, for example, for looking at something, and I just accepted the situation, went through, persevered to get through the night. Because it was so cold, I got up extra early just before the sun, because I couldn't wait to get a little bit of sun to get outside. And then I started walking around. So I enjoyed the beauty of everything there with the frost on it, the lake and everything like that. And then I was walking around, and I went to other areas that I hadn't gone to the whole time I was there. So I enjoyed that also. And lastly, I was there and I was looking back to the mountain, giving thanks to it. We did a lot of ceremony up there and prayer up there. And when I looked down, there was a meteorite. And I was gifted from Spirit, from the mountain, this beautiful, large meteorite that's still in my mesa today. And it reminded me of that, So even though that what looks challenging that night, the next day was totally different. So it's kind of knowing that and going through, and knowing that everything is in its divine order. Everything, even though sometimes it wasn't comfortable being wet, curled up, cold. But the next day, everything was all right, and there's always that next day. That's why God made tomorrows, right? Because there's always, we have a tough today. There's
sun
always tomorrow.
It always rises, right? It always rises. So, you want to promote? You have a couple of workshops coming up. Do we have time to promote it real quick? No, we're going to go to break, and we'll promote those events, and you'll tell us about them when we get back. This is Rabbi Jenny, and I'll talk to you in a few. Persevere.
Persevere. You can persevere.
Yeah, you got it.
We're cutting like knives in a fist fight. And I found you with a bottle of wine you had in the curtains.
Spent hours in therapy, at the spa, and the gym, and still feel as if something is missing? At Walk Between the Worlds with shamanic practitioner Jennifer Sellers, you recapture lost pieces of yourself, place them within your heart, and move forward to fully actualize life. With individual sessions and group classes, with Walk Between the Worlds, you heal your mind, unite your soul, and empower your spirit. Contact walkbetweentheworlds.com today. Mention this ad on The Rabbi Jenny Show and receive 10% off your first session. Walk free and whole and true at walkbetweentheworlds.com.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV.
Do you know someone who is currently struggling with an addiction? The struggle is over. Dream Recovery International has the answer. With a combination of highly skilled clinicians, innovative treatment modalities, and luxurious amenities, Dream Recovery International has it all. Focusing on core issues, spiritual growth, and personal empowerment, clients of Dream Recovery International leave addiction behind and move forward to fully embrace life. For more information, go to dreamrecoveryintl.com or call 855-DREAM-80. Dream Recovery International, where addiction ends and recovery begins.
You have been listening to Rabbi Jenny, who asks, are you ready to bring more light and love and joy into your life? A spiritually uplifting show that will change your world. Call in at 888-565-1470 or email at rabbijenny.com and share your thoughts with Rabbi Jenny. Now, back to our show.
More. Hey, it's Rabbi Jenny. Welcome back. We are persevering, and we are here with Kerry Stokes. He's going to tell us about some upcoming events before we get to the Joy Jar. So
Okay.
tell us what's going on with you.
I will. I did want to mention one thing because you mentioned about the earlier in the with scripture that there was scripture Galatians 6:9 that says that not to we how did it go again? We do not how did it go? Do not give up, because as we persevere, do not give up. And I'm saying this whole thing wrong.
It's okay. You cited the verse.
Not giving up. Hold on, I gotta put it down here. I want to say it. Okay, let us not grow weary of doing good, for it is due season that we will reap if we do not give up. Anyway,
okay, well, tell us about what's coming up. We got stuff to do, Gary. Hey.
Okay, so big class we have coming up, and this is my wife and I do. We do classes together and sometimes separate. The one we're doing coming up in September 12th is right here at Renaissance down in Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. We're doing past life regression and healing workshop. Yeah, so this is where you can connect with some, find out who you were in a past life, and more importantly, heal that karmic connection, right? And then a lot of stuff going on there. It's going to be a very powerful class. Mm-hmm. I also have some working on online class at the moment. And what I did, you took the Moon Eye Key with me.
Yeah.
I did it last in this, what would you call it, the winter for us back in January, February, March, like that. And we did it as a series. So I broke it up, just a couple rights over a period of time. Went really, really successful. So we're going to do that up in this area somewhere. So Moon Eye Key series. And then we have a lot of different things. And of course, Peru every year. Any retreats, and we have a lot of all this.
So
going to be up
they
on the
can
fall
find you
calendar.
at CarrieStokes.com.
CarrieStokes.com.
Carrie, please seek him out. He and his wife, beautiful Elsa Stokes. I've taken their classes. I've spent a lot of time on the planet with them. Beautiful, beautiful people. Thank you for coming on, Carrie. You'll stay on for our Joy Jar. Is this for a Joy Jar? I don't know. Is this a Joy Jar challenge? Hey, who's on that phone? Can we do our Joy Jar challenge? Hit it, guys.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Where's the... There we go. There she is, Adeline Gobergstein.
And it's time for the Rabbi Jenny Ridiculous Joy Jar Challenge.
Hey, who's on the phone?
Hi, it's Freddie from Boca.
Hey, Freddie from Boca. Have you listened to the Rabbi Jenny show before?
I have. I'm calling in to give you 10 things I'm happy for.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay,
Cool.
why don't you give me your 10 things now?
Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, my health.
Okay.
Number 2, my family. Number 3, my friends. Number 4, cold pillows when I go to sleep.
Ah.
Number 5, finding money in my pocket when I didn't know it was there. Number
Ah.
6, putting clothes on right after they've been ironed or coming out of the dryer. Number 7, sleeping in clean sheets. Number 8, waking up on a rainy day, realizing I don't have anything to do. Number 9, when a good song comes on during my workout. And number 10, my job.
Yay, Freddie. Those are
Hey.
awesome. I love the finding money in your pocket one. That is a cool one. So, Freddie, you got something you want to promote today on the Rabbi Jenny show?
Yes, I do. I work for a bone marrow registry. Our company's name is Gift of Life Bone Marrow Foundation. And what we do is we try and find life-saving matches for those who have cancer, such as leukemia or lymphoma.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just wanted to promote us. We are in Boca. We're headquartered on Yamato Road.
Mm-hmm.
And, if anyone wants to get involved, my number is 561-982-2932. And I run bone marrow drives and try and raise money for testing of kits.
Oh, well,
once
Freddie...
we test the kit, we find a match.
Freddie, I love what you do. I think I've actually had a couple of your public service announcements on my show. Thank you so much for calling. That's Gift of Life in Boca. Say the phone number one more time, Freddie.
561-982-2932.
Oh, what you do is so important.
And Freddie, if you want, you're welcome to post that on my Facebook page, Carrie Stokes.
Okay.
Feel free to post that on
I
there.
definitely will. I'll get my marketing team on there, and we'll like your page.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you so much. Thanks, Freddie. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed night. Thanks for all you do. Keep tuning
Thank you for having
in.
me on.
All right.
Keep persevering.
Okay. All right. I think. What's going on? I'm a little lost. I gotta
my
go.
one quote and I messed it
Everything's
up.
good. Okay. So we're gonna go do the. We're gonna do the Rabbi Jenny Jam, I guess, right? Yo, yo, yo! Yo, yo, yo!
Yo, what's up?
Jam. Okay, we need a beat. I need a beat. Give me a beat. No, I need the beat. There we go, Alan. Yeah. The winds may come to push you over. The fire may burn you up inside. The waves may rise to pull you under. And the earth may shake and you want to hide. Keep pushing, keep going, keep moving along. Keep loving, keep bringing, keep singing your song. The world is happening to move you along, to shine bright. Keep pushing, keep going, keep moving along. Keep loving, keep singing, keep bringing your song. The world is happening to push you along, to shine bright. Baby, it's tough, oh so tough. It seems to never end, it's rough. Found you without a friend. Stay strong, yeah. One step at a time. Stay true and keep your head held high. 'Cause the winds may come to push you over. And that fire may burn you up inside. The waves may rise to pull you under. And the earth may shake and you want to hide. Listen up, keep pushing, keep going, keep moving along. Keep loving, keep singing, keep bringing your song. The world is having to move you along, to shine bright. Keep pushing, keep going, keep moving along. Keep loving, keep singing, keep bringing your song. This world is happening to move you along, to shine bright. Listeners, shine bright. Woo!
Shine bright.
Oh my gosh, that was just so much fun. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to sing that for you. We are talking about
was good.
perseverance, and it is the last few minutes for me to love you this week. It's almost over. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it. Please remember to go to Rabbi Jenny on Twitter. Go to Rabbi Jenny. I think it's Jenny Rabbi on The Instagram and the Facebook page, Rabbi Jenny Skylark. Please like it. I would really love it if you would like it. But I want to get back to this idea of perseverance. How to find pure motivation for consolidation to manifestation to acceleration. I don't know. I got in a preacher mode today when I was researching perseverance. And I was thinking about some other stories. And I saw another movie right before we end. I want to talk about this movie. It's about Brian Wilson, the Beach Boy, and it's a movie called Love and Mercy.
I heard it's really good.
Oh, my God. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. Some of the best acting I've ever seen. And as a child that was born in 1970... I didn't know as much as I needed to know about the Beach Boys, is all I got to say. They are an undiscovered musical source for me, and the album Pet Sounds, I'm looking forward to get to know it. But Brian Wilson was one of those people who had a vision, and he heard music in a way, and he heard music in such a deep, significant, revolutionary way. It went beyond what he actually musically knew. And it would have been viewed by most people as crazy, much like Abraham, who left his father's house, and much like Moses, who would say, or much like Carrie, who's going to go to Peru, or me, I'm going to go be a rabbi, or you, who wants to start a business. These things may seem not smooth to other people. They may not make sense to everyone else. They may want to put you in a box. But the idea of perseverance is to nurture and trust your motivation. And this man, Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, it took a while. I mean, he kept going, and he actually suffered quite a bit. But it was actually the love of this woman in his life who actually had to persevere to free him from an impossible situation. But it was the passion he had. I mean, he was nuts. But he had this passion for what he heard in his head. And if you have a love in your heart for something, if you have something in your heart that you love and you ache for, listeners, this is for you. This week is for you. I am telling you to persevere. I am telling you that Spirit, the universe, is here to say it is time. You have that higher vision. You have that purpose. The stars are aligned for you to move. Take one step. Just one. That is all you got to do. One step in the direction. Doesn't mean you have to change your whole life. That's an important thing for people to realize. Just take one step. Do some research. You know, like the guy in Dig a Little Deeper did to find out what was going on between the earth. You know, to find that gold. Do some research. You might have this idea, but you're like, what do I do? What do I do? And I always say the first step in manifestation is actually to do research. Crazy ideas have to come down to earth, and they come down to earth when we actually look them up. You know, so you may want to go to school and study something new, and you're stuck because you're like, how can I do this? I have this fabulous career. How can I go take a class to be a shaman? What are you thinking? Well, go look it up. See what it entails. Maybe it's just a couple nights a week. Maybe it's something that's going to bring you so much joy you can't even stand it in your heart and your soul. Perseverance, my friend. Perseverance is such an important piece of who you are, reminding you of every single character that we honor, every single leader. I mean, from Gandhi to Buddha, they persevered in what they believed in. They had a reason why they were doing what they were doing. And you actually might be sitting around saying, Jenny, I have no reason. I got nothing, you know? And what I'm telling you is spend a little time with that fabulous love and light inside of you, because you got something, baby, because you're a piece of it all. I adore you. Please show up. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everything. Tune
You're
in.
welcome.
We'll talk to you next Wednesday. We got a fabulous guest. Bye-bye. Love you.
Confucius said the man who moves a mountain must start with small stones.
You have been listening and lighting up your life with Rabbi Jenny. Join us next week for another session of love, light, and joy as Rabbi Jenny takes life to the next level. Are you ready? Rabbi Jenny says the time is now.